You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
This is Where You Live with Gene and Tony, filling the airwaves with all kinds of good stuff each and every week. That's right. We're broadcasting from the Natural Green Lawn and Landscape Studios. We're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors, American Family Insurance, the Kim Bennett Agency. Before we get into our next story, I want to let our listeners know we have got a free resource for you. Over 23,000 subscribers to our bi-monthly newsletter, and it continues to grow. And we get a lot of people asking, how can I get that newsletter? Let me tell you, you can do it. You just give us a call at our office at New Concepts during the week, 952-922-2500. That's 952-922-2500. Ask for Lori, and she'll make sure that you start receiving that subscription. Now, you can receive it electronically or by mail, your choice. And a lot of the topics we cover on the show are covered in further detail. People that we have on the show will write for it as well. It is a great resource. So make sure that you get it.
Free.
Absolutely free. That's right. One of the other things that's on there, all of the free webinars we teach.
You get our schedule for webinars. Yep.
And we have a lot of people that avail themselves of that too.
Yep.
Well, let's go into our next topic here, and this comes from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and it says home prices keep momentum. I think that it's probably been in the news a couple of times this last week. If you've been hearing about the real estate market, because we're getting close to the end of the third quarter here, and it looks like things are going well. It said in this Star-Tribune article, it said, home buyers continue to be out in force even as their options dwindle. Sales in August jumped 12.3%.
That's good.
Yeah,
excellent news.
I want to just concentrate on that just for a moment here, because that is, in essence, what we talk about over and over again, about how it is good a lot of times for government not to be involved. There's this need that government, our legislators, our congressmen, our senators feel that they need to always be involved.
Sometimes to fix things. They always want to fix things.
Sometimes government is not necessarily a force for good. Sometimes they just muck it up.
It's interesting. There's a graph illustration with this article that shows home values dropping from 2005 through 2008. They really took a nosedive. Then in 2009 and 2010, they take a spike up. And you remember why that is?
I'm showing the graph right now in front of the microphone.
Gene's
for our
holding it
listeners.
up to the microphone.
Okay.
In 2010, there was a spike in value. And you remember why that was? That was an artificially induced increase in value because of the home buying incentives passed by the federal government.
That $8,000 credit if you bought a home.
That's right. And then after that, boom, they went down again. That's
back
right.
in the tank.
Now, since 2010, they have had a couple of peaks, but they're steadily on the rise in 2012. And I believe, like you said, Gene, that is the market adjusting itself. There's more people looking to buy than there are houses available. That means the prices and the values go up.
It's simple economics. It's
what Stanley Carlson taught us at Washburn High School in the late 60s, supply and demand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that it really does get down to that simple equation. And people just need to remember that things will be adjusted. Now, one of the things that the article brings out, still in our market in the Twin Cities, we're seeing about, on the MLS, about 30% of the listings seem to be short sales and foreclosures.
Okay. All right.
Now, remember, that's down from like 65, 67% a couple years ago.
Okay. All right.
So it is going in the right direction.
Yep.
But you've got to get...
So there's still some depressing depressing factor out there in these
Yeah.
short sales because that holds down values.
Now, another interesting bit of information here that comes out from the article too, and that is talking about the numbers of homes throughout the country where the mortgage that is owed is more in value than the value of the home itself.
Right, underwater.
So it's an underwater property, and right now I believe that amount is, I think, like 1 out of 5, something like that.
Is underwater?
About 20%
All right.
nationally
All right.
of the homes that have mortgages on them, 1 out of 5, 20% nationally are underwater. In Minnesota, that number is lower than that. I want to say that
It
that
says
has
about 18%?
18%. So
Yeah.
we're doing a little bit better than the nation as a whole.
Okay, all right.
And so those are good things. And you've got to get through that period. It says right, the very beginning that it says that the options for buyers are dwindling. That's got to happen. That's got to take place because
in order for values to rise. That's right.
something's only going to become more valuable
That's right.
if there's less of it.
That's right. That's right.
And when you have a pent up demand, the prices are going to go up. And these people who have underwater mortgages are not going to have to worry about the government giving them any kind of other special program because the market will have corrected itself and
That's
people
right.
are going to be able to move on.
That's right.
And I think that's going to still take place. What's interesting in this article, they quote a guy who is the chairman of the real estate program at the University of St. Thomas.
Okay.
And it makes me wonder with some of the statements that he makes, if he's a little bit of an ivory tower person and
not in touch with
the real
what's
world.
really going on.
And taking a look at his bio, I mean, he does have a lot of experience, but I mean, listen to what he said in his analysis of the market that we're in. He said right now, the market needs more supply. People are looking at this and they're coming around to the fact that this recovery looks like it's for real. Okay, well, if the recovery looks like it's for real, it would be because there's less supply.
There's a limited supply.
A limited supply, exactly.
That's what I think.
But it said that this gentleman, Tousley is his name, isn't worried that more inventory will put a damper on prices. How do you figure? Again, when you're dealing with so the law of supply and demand,
Yep.
something is worth more only because there's less. I mean, I think anybody who watches Pawn Stars understands that. I mean, that's a real popular show.
Yeah.
And people understand, hey, there's not a lot of this around. Therefore, the price is going to be a lot higher than it was originally. Mm-hmm. But apparently, this gentleman is not concerned about that. And to me, that seems a little bit out of touch.
I think so too.
Yeah. Now, one of the things it also talks about in this article here too is that buyers are struggling with a shortage of options, and I want to touch on that a little bit because, again, when we were dealing with the legislature, remember initially 2 years ago, and one of the problems where people wanted to get the legislature involved in HOAs and changing how they interact was because one person came to her state legislator and she said, well,
I don't like this.
I don't like this.
I don't like these rules in
I
my
have to-
homeowners association.
And the argument was like this: I have to buy into a townhome because there's nothing else in Egan. and so
There's nothing else for
but
sale.
it makes you realize, well, wait a minute. What makes you think that you have to be in Egan?
That's right.
I would like to live in North Oaks. I would like to live.
But I bet there's nothing you can afford in North
Oh,
Oaks.
yeah, probably.
You know what? There's a shortage of affordable housing in North Oaks.
and that's got to change. No,
Call your legislator and get him to take care of that.
But that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
And in this article, the realtor who was quoted here, and that was Steve Westmark with Counselor Realty.
Yeah, you said he's been around a long time, been a big realtor who's done an excellent job his whole career.
Excellent realtor in counseling his clients. And he just says if buyers are willing to cast a larger net,
there you go.
there are a lot of good choices.
There you go.
And that is the bottom line. People,
this is life. This is the real world. I don't get to get what I want every day or the instant I want it. And I have to deal with the times and deal with my environment and deal with my culture. And if I can't buy a home in Eagan, then I have to look at Lakeville, or I have to look at Rosemont.
You
or
don't
some other
turn
place.
to the legislature and say, "Fix this, so this is now
right.
better for me."
That's right.
It's
Don't
called
mess
life.
with the market. Stop messing with the market.
That's right. That is the word today. Don't mess with the market. Let it be. And with that, we're going to let the market take over right now for this break. Don't go away. We've got another segment of Where You Live after these messages.